What is up? Travis with TCustomz Productionz, TCustomz.com. Quick tip for you Ableton Live users, specifically those of you who are sharing sessions or you're collaborating with other producers, artists, and musicians across the web. So you're actually sharing your sessions via email or Dropbox or however. There's a very specific way in which you need to prepare and save that session to ensure that the person on the receiving end, the person you're collaborating with, is actually receiving and has access to all of the files that you have access to on your end. If you don't use the collect all and save, then what will happen is you'll just be saving the ALS file relative to the files that are on your hard drive. So to prevent this from happening, the person on the receiving end, if it's not saved right, will see media files are missing. It's basically looking for those files. So instead of going to file and save live set or save live set as like you would for a session on your local computer, you need to go to collect all and save. And what this will do is it'll actually pull from all of your sound library. So if you've created a drum track or you've chopped up a sample or you have other audio instruments and effects and different things that you've added to the track, it will go ahead and pull all that from your local computer, put it into a single folder, and then very easily be able to share that with the person you're collaborating with. When you click collect all and save, it'll bring up this pop-up box that allows you to select several options where you want your files to be saved from. And if you're not sure, I usually leave these first three selected by default, but if you're not sure what each of these is, you want to customize it, you can hover over, and in the bottom left-hand corner in the info box, it will give you a more detailed explanation. So once you're ready to collect all the files and save, just hit OK, and then it should go ahead and do its thing and save and pull all those files in. Okay, so this is where I just saved this project to. This is the project folder. If I double click and open this up, you'll see your ALS file. That's going to be standard. But in addition to that, what we're doing with the collect all and save is we're creating a samples folder, and inside of this is where it pulls all of those various sounds, one shots, whatever audio samples you have in your library. It collects all those and brings those in. There's an imported folder, and inside of that is where you'll have all of your sounds. This just has one because I just did this as a test. And so then to share that with the person you're going to collaborate with, all you need to do is come back to your main project folder, and you could zip this up or archive it or whatever. I usually just right click and add to archive. That way I make sure all the files are in there and just send over the zip or RAR file through email or Dropbox. However, obviously the more and more sounds that you're using that are being collected into the folder, the larger the folder is going to get, the larger the file is going to be. So just keep that in mind. One other thing to mention really briefly is that if you're using any third-party plugins with your sessions, and the other person on the receiving end doesn't have those, if you're putting effects plugins that are not stock in the Ableton suite or something that the other person has installed, they won't be able to load that up. All the MIDI information will be saved, but if there are specific effects or sounds that you know the other person isn't going to have, you may want to go ahead and bounce those down to audio. So in order to bounce this down to audio, keep in mind a lot of this MIDI information for this track, these files are not loaded, but I do have one sample that's loaded in here. So all you do is you right click on the MIDI information and you freeze that, and that basically bounces that down to audio. And then usually what I'll do is I'll create a separate audio track like this, and I'll just drag. You can, on a PC, you can do control and just drag down with your mouse. And so now this prints that to audio. You could mute one of these out. You know, for instance, if you just wanted to mute the audio track, you could save that session like this, so it would give them the option to either use MIDI if they want to load in a different instrument or different sounds, or they can also have a printed version and have the audio. So that's just something to keep in mind if you are using sounds that you know the other person isn't going to have, or different effects. You can always print that to audio and have that as an alternate version for them to use. Like I said, just make sure that when you're sending that over to the person you're collaborating with, that you are sending the ALS as well as that samples folder, so they have access to all the sounds. That's the whole point of doing this collect all and save in the first place. And it's the same process if any of you have booked one-on-one time for coaching or stepping through some of your tracks, you've shared your Ableton sessions with me. This is the same process that you'll use to save that and make sure that I have access to all the files. Keep that in mind. It's pretty simple. Most of your DAWs or whatever are going to have have this type of functionality, but I just want to shoot that for those of you who are not aware, and then for those of you who have booked coaching time or one-on-one time to get your sessions moving and make sure there aren't any issues when I load them up on my end. So that is it. Thanks for watching. If you are new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. Go back on the channel and watch some of the other Ableton Live tutorial videos, beat breakdown, music production tips, beat making videos, the list goes on. And I've got a lot of other resources on my site. That's TCustomz.com, as well as coaching and premium resources, free downloads, free sound kits, a lot of other stuff over there. So feel free to check it out. There's also information on the blog, and I will talk to you next video. Peace.